Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode. This is the Lead Generation podcast with me, Harry Latos. I'm the founder of HGL Marketing, a lead generation company that helps B2B businesses acquire more clients. So, in this podcast, we're going to cover everything: how to gain more clients, what you're doing wrong, what to do right, some success stories, and just everything client acquisition. So, this is going to be the first of many. I've got some fantastic special guests lined up for this podcast as well. So that'll be coming out over the next few weeks. But we're here to start 2024 off with a bang and get straight into things. So the first topic on today's agenda is going to be my story in lead generation, how I got started, and basically the journey so far. So this is an interesting story for those who don't know it, but I actually am about 1 year into my online business journey. So I started my online business just over a year ago from absolute scratch, starting from nothing, no background in marketing, no background in the industry that I currently operate in, which is recruitment. And it started because I'd basically been in a job that I just didn't like. So, give you a bit of backstory. I was actually previously working as an engineer. So, I was in engineering doing engine design for motorbikes, specifically Triumphs. If you're from the UK, you might know Triumphs. But yeah, I like things that are fast. So, I thought, engineering was good for me. But about 3 months into the job, I realised this is not what I want to be doing. I always thought that through college, through university, and throughout my education, that the amount I'd sort of make in terms of revenue, or at least as a salary, would be tied to my knowledge, right? So I thought if I know, everything there is to know about engine design, the way engines operate, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, all of these engineering terms, then it's basically no one in the world that knows how that stuff really works. So your earning potential would be huge. Now that is obviously the case for some people, but for me, I just went into a job. It was it was half decent pay, but I knew that I basically wanted to do more than what I was doing there. So it led me to obviously start an online business whilst I was still working a job. And about 6 months ago, probably about 6 months today, or 6 months in a couple of weeks, I actually quit my job and went full time with my business. So for the first sort of 6 months of our business, I was running as more of a marketing agency, right? Doing content marketing, doing email marketing here and there. But it just made me realize that you're not going to actually provide real value and real benefit to businesses unless you're making contributions to their direct bottom line. And this is especially true of small businesses. I realized that the way to actually build my business and provide real value was to help other businesses acquire clients. This is the biggest struggle by far that any business will face: how to get more customers, how to get more clients. And this is especially true for the recruitment sector, which is the sector that I started in and the sector that I operate the most within now. Recruiters really struggle to find new clients. And that's what basically led me to create the systems and workflows and processes that we use now to help recruitment companies acquire more clients. So it's been an incredible journey so far. I feel like we're just really getting started. Every week there's new stuff going on, which I'm going to talk a little bit more later on in the podcast about what's happening in February next year in terms of the changes that are happening to Google, where they're basically making cold email, lead generation through cold email much harder. They're basically trying to send everyone to spam, and there's some ways which we're going to combat that, which I can go into a bit later on in the video. But ultimately, that's the lead generation journey. It's crucial to every business. You need to know how to acquire leads because your sales is literally the oxygen of your business. Without it, your business will die. So acquiring leads and acquiring customers, acquiring clients is crucial. And that's obviously what got me started in this journey and to the point where we are today. So the next topic is actually the biggest wins in lead generation. So the biggest wins that I've actually had in lead generation are with one of my recruitment clients called Preston, and we've actually managed to build his business. He said he was basically operating job order to job order, waiting for clients to come in through networking, referrals, the traditional methods which we hear all the time, right? Every business basically relies on these traditional methods, and we implemented a LinkedIn and email outbound marketing system to acquire him some new clients. And actually with Preston, in 90 days, we generated an extra 55,000 of new revenue, which was fantastic. Just for ourselves as well, our outbound campaigns are fantastic. It really amazes me when people say that outbound is dead and cold email and cold DMs, cold calling is dead, because there's no way that that's true. So many businesses like mine and like my clients are growing rapidly through cold outbound. There's no way you would get that sort of growth just through referrals or just through organic, word of mouth growth. It's so rare that it happens. You need a system in place that's repeatable, scalable, and measurable. It's so important to be tracking your data and tracking your metrics, because then you know where your next client's coming from, you know where your next sales coming from. You can forecast, you can invest more into your marketing, invest more into your brand, invest more into your growth, right? Because you have a steady stream and you have a pipeline of business that you've built up. This just isn't really achievable through the traditional methods of acquisition, which are, referrals and word of mouth. Don't get me wrong, they're key, and I think they're actually needed in every business, because that shows that your service is good. If you don't have a good service, you won't get word of mouth, you won't get referrals, and it makes it much harder to grow. So starting with that foundation of word of mouth and referrals is really important. If you actually want to grow and grow rapidly, you need to have outbound campaigns in place. Now, we actually run cold email and LinkedIn campaigns, and I just use my own LinkedIn account, so one account for this, and about 10 email accounts, and we're easily booking 2 calls a day now on average, just with one LinkedIn account and 10 email accounts, which took barely any time to set up. Of course, your LinkedIn profile needs to be optimized for higher conversions and higher amount of calls being booked, but just those 2 channels alone can book you, what's that going to be, about 40, 50 calls a month. Really, really possible, really achievable for any B2B business, really. LinkedIn is going to be the cornerstone, I think, and it's fundamental for success. People want to check you out. As soon as you receive an email or message or a call, what's the first thing you want to do? You're going to check them out, check out their online presence, okay? So you want to be blown away by their LinkedIn. Most people's LinkedIn are just dormant. They've got some banner that they made on Canva, which, nothing against Canva, it's a great tool, but some basic sort of banner and no content on there. So you want to really optimize your LinkedIn profile to make sure that when visitors are landing on it, they're getting thoroughly impressed and they're getting nurtured with your content. There's actually a statistic, and it's if you were to purchase a service from a provider, you would actually need to spend about 7 or 8 hours with the provider to build up enough trust, right, to actually go ahead with the service. And this is for high ticket stuff. So instead of having 7 or 8 hours worth of calls, which is very time inefficient and you don't want to do this, what you can do is put so much content on your page and on your website that people are effectively spending 7 or 8 hours with you, but just on your videos, right? And this is going to have the same effect of nurturing them, building connections, building relationships, and ultimately increase your conversion rates. So that's why it's really important to firstly use LinkedIn. But if you're using LinkedIn, you need to have an optimized profile and have constant calls to action, constant bits of content that will nurture your leads throughout your profile. So that's really important. Now, that leads me on to the next point. The next topic is the biggest struggles with lead generation. So what are the biggest struggles with lead generation in 2023? Now, I can tell you right now, from my experience and from speaking to hundreds, if not thousands of businesses over the last few months, it is, if you're running cold outbound campaigns, you're not getting any responses. Okay, and that's the biggest struggle in general terms for all lead generation campaigns. People aren't getting responses. Okay, and they're not booking calls. Now, there's a few reasons for this. If we look at email first, the number one thing I've seen is people are not investing in their email deliverability. This is crucial. If you're not investing in your email deliverability, you're just landing in the spam folder. No one's going to see your message. If they do see your message, do you think they're really going to trust it? If you've come to them in the spam folder, the answer is no. Right, so you need to invest in all the right things. So the technical setup needs to be right for your emails. You need to make sure your DKIM records are set up, SPF records, and DMARC records are set up. If you're wondering how to do that, I actually created another video on my YouTube channel, which you can check out, and it gives you a step-by-step process of how to set all of these things up for success. But that's the biggest struggle that I see a lot of companies face with their outbound campaigns, is they don't know how to set up the email accounts. And if they do, they're sending, just hundreds of emails from one account, right? Even 100 emails from one account, which is far, far too many. And you're going to burn that domain, you're going to burn that account, and you're going to land in the spam folder. It's crucial that you get this right, and there's ways that you do things, especially going into 2024 with the restrictions that Google are imposing. You cannot be sending more than 50 emails a day per email account. It's just anything over that, you're just going to get flagged, in my opinion. So you need to be under that. I'd actually recommend 35 to 40 emails a day per account max, to make sure that you're not going over any limits and you're not basically putting yourself in the spam folder. So that's one of the things, is deliverability. The first problem is people aren't landing in the inbox. However, when they are landing in the inbox, what's the message? And especially on LinkedIn, what's the message that you're giving to people? It is a straight direct sale straight away, right? It's just, here we are, here's all about us, here's our service, do you want to buy it, or do you want to hop on a call, with no interest of the actual prospect, and there's no value exchange there. The prospect is just being sold to. That is just what happens, and it may have been very successful a couple of years ago, even maybe earlier this year, but now things are changing rapidly. You cannot get away with that, and it's not going to book you any calls. The way to actually get more leads and get more customers, get more calls, is to have a value exchange. You need to give something to your prospect first. If it's a free audit, free consultation, free ebook, you need to test what lead magnet works the best, but you need to give something first before just pitching straight away. Because firstly, everyone's just pitching. You never want to do what everyone else is doing in the marketplace, right? You want to stand out. So that's the first thing, is you actually need to give value as opposed to just sell straight away. That's going to be really important. Now, that also not only will get you more positive responses, but will also build more trust, right? So it's got a positive feedback loop by giving more content, because then you get feedback on your content as well. What works well? What can you do better on? Okay, so there's no downside, in my opinion, to creating content and giving it out for free to your prospects, because actually I think what you'll find is a lot of them will want to book calls after that, because they're not used to getting people who are willing to give before they ask. And that's what it's all about, delaying the gratification, if you like. So that's a really important thing. Another thing is actually making your emails targeted and relevant, okay? Because there was a time when it actually worked quite well just to get a big list off Apollo and bulk blast a load of emails off Apollo to your prospects, and you would get, a couple of responses, maybe 1-2% of responses, and then, they might be booked into calls. But there's no way it's going to happen now. You need to build targeted, segmented lists of prospects that have differences, right? So they might be different job titles in different locations. How can you play off that to make the message personalized to all of them? Because if you're just sending to a massive group of 5,000 contacts, the message isn't going to resonate with any of them. This is the issue that I see. People go too broad and they think that by contacting loads of people, you have more success. But actually, as you contact more people, your message can't be as targeted. It just can't, because it won't apply to everyone. And as you have a less targeted message, people will just turn off immediately now, because they're all getting messages and emails that are exactly the same as yours. So instead of having that list of 5,000 contacts, how about make it 500 contacts, but all make it in one specific location, right? Say in London, okay? Or basically where I'm based, Brighton, right? So there's 500 of those contacts. You can use something about London, recent events that have gone on, even just name dropping coffee shops or something that you can meet people. If you have these small targeted lists, your chances of success grow exponentially, because it's more relevant to the prospect, it's more targeted, and they actually are going to want to respond to it more. So building up those smaller lists, more targeted lists, is really, really, really important, instead of just massive lists. So some ways that you can do that, as I've just mentioned, target on job title. So just targeting one specific job title, for example, chief marketing officers, instead of all C-suite, because then you'll know the actual pain points that the chief marketing officer will face, as opposed to all the C-suite employees, right? Very wildly, right? So you just want to target the CMOs, for example, and then you can actually speak to the pain points and the sort of things that the CMO specifically is going through. You could also do location. You could also do companies of a certain size. You could also do companies with a department of a certain size. So say they've got one person in marketing, all right, as opposed to 10 people in marketing or 20 people in marketing. You can speak to that specific type of prospect or type of ideal client in a way that resonates much more with them. So that's one thing that I think is really important to include in lead generation as well. It's making sure your lists are targeted and relevant. Now, something I get asked all the time is cold email spam? Now, this is a very, very interesting question, and I certainly know my take on it. However, I do feel like in the whole space, it's quite a grey area. So, cold email being spam. Now, the answer to this, in my opinion, is yes and no. It depends on how you do it. Of course, cold email is spam if you get a list of 10,000 contacts and you copy and paste the exact same message to every single one with zero thought, zero consideration to them, and you just bulk blast it out to everyone, right? And it's selling your services in a very aggressive way. That is spam because no one wants to receive it. However, if you build a very targeted list of contacts that you just want to email in an automated fashion, you don't want to spend time rewriting every single script because you have a good template that genuinely provides value to your audience and is a message or an email that they would actually want to receive, and you know this because of how many positive responses you're getting, then in my opinion, there's no way that it's spam. That is a good email and people would like to receive it and you're giving value, right? However, they get put in the same bucket. People who run lead generation agencies or cold email agencies, whether they use approach one, which is, the bulk blast method, spray and pray, or more targeted sniper approach, they get put in the same bucket. And this is just not the case, right? They're wildly different. And the best cold email agencies and the best lead generation agencies, you simply wouldn't know if they were using automation or if it was written by a human. And you can tell this off of the responses. So emailing another business, of course, in my opinion, is not spam, and it just can't be because it's the same as making a cold call. No one really complains about cold calls, unless, of course, you have a very aggressive salesperson on the other side. It's the same with email. If you have a very aggressive sales-driven message that you don't want to see, then everyone's going to call that spam, right? And that's going to get reported as spam. Whereas if it's value-driven, relevant, and targeted to you, like if you got a cold call and someone had done research on your profile and had something that you genuinely needed, then with your best interest at heart, then you would not refer to that as spam. Okay, so I see them in very similar ways, and there's always going to need to be a way to contact other businesses as a B2B business, right? You're always going to need to be able to sell your services because guess what? Your services help other people. It's not just a transaction where only you benefit. If your services are truly good, you do a service to your clients and to the people you work with to help them grow their businesses or progress in whatever aspect of life it is. So that's why I think cold email is definitely not spam if you approach it the right way. However, it's very crucial that you need to approach it the right way, otherwise you will get labelled as spam. Now, we're going to talk about some overrated versus underrated methods of lead generation going into 2024. So how can you get more clients and acquire more customers for your B2B business in 2024? I'm going to tell you 2 ways which I think are overrated and 2 ways which I think are underrated. So we'll start with overrated. The overrated way, in my opinion, is the traditional methods of referrals and networking. Okay. As a small business owner, I hear this all the time, and I have been to networking events before. However, for the time that you put in, for everyone's there effectively to try and sell their service in one way or another. That's the whole point of networking. However, you're likely not going to be with your ideal clients. They're probably not your ideal clients there. You're just trying to see what sort of relationships you can build to try and get a foot in the door with someone, and it's very time consuming, very slow, and you're very limited. You might be limited to your local area where maybe 20 other people or 20 other business owners attend. And I think it's a very overrated way of doing client acquisition, lead generation for your business, I think there are definitely more efficient ways. So that'd be the first one: referrals and networking. It's a bit of a no from me. The second most overrated method, in my opinion, is I see it all the time on Facebook and Twitter. We've actually done it ourselves, and this is the reason why I call it overrated, because it doesn't really work that well, is posting free lead magnets or giving away free stuff in either Facebook groups or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever it is, but it's giving away free stuff. Now, this might seem like a controversial take, but the reason I think this is overrated is because you attract a certain type of crowd. You attract the people that are only wanting to get free stuff from you. They're not usually, most of the time, if they convert, the highest LTV client, just because everyone is just going for that free stuff, right? Now, of course, something free is going to attract loads of people. I'd get attracted to something if it was a really good offer and it was free. But for the sheer volume that you get, as in you can post something on Facebook, and we have before, and got 200 comments, and really only about 2 or 3 of those are actually going to be qualified. So it's a very inefficient way, in my opinion, of shifting through traffic. It can be great to build up some awareness. It can great to start more conversations, but just in terms of leading to direct conversions, I know it's technically a bit of an inbound method where people are coming to you, so your conversion rate might be higher of those calls, but for all of the people you actually get interested in the free stuff, not many of them are qualified. So that is what I'll say, and that's why I think it's slightly overrated. The two underrated methods of client acquisition which you need to be using for your business in 2024 are LinkedIn outbound marketing using in-mails and connection requests, and cold email lead generation. Now, people are probably going to roll their eyes at that, not going to want to hear that, but LinkedIn and cold email, they are the fundamentals, and they work the best. The reason is they are repeatable, scalable, and measurable. So you can repeat the process that you've done to acquire a client on email or LinkedIn over and over and over again to acquire more clients. Now, the reason why it's scalable is because emails come out per an email account, and LinkedIn messages come out from your LinkedIn account. And guess what? These can be duplicated. You can create more of these. So this can be scaled. You can scale from 5 email accounts sending outbound to 20 email accounts sending outbound, and you'll get roughly 4 times the results. Now, there's of course a bit of a diminishing returns aspect, especially with LinkedIn, because you don't just want to be creating loads of fake LinkedIn accounts. They don't work. But say you have a business or an organization, and you're just the only person running your LinkedIn campaigns at the moment, starting to use your team members' LinkedIn profiles for this method as well is going to be fantastic, and it's going to help you acquire more clients. So that's why I think LinkedIn is underrated, because a lot of people say they try it and they say it's saturated and they say it doesn't work, but it's because they haven't gone the right way around it. So that is what I can go into slightly later, what is the right way to go about it. But before I do that, I just want to explain why email is fantastic as well. And email, once again, when done correctly, is really underrated. The reason being because everyone says it doesn't work. And if you know how to make it work, then it's incredible, because it's so cost effective. So cost effective. You can be sending out 5,000 emails a month easily for, less than $200 all in, with the domains, email accounts, the sending software, the leads as well. You can do it so incredibly cost effectively. So that's why email is very underrated, and as everyone says it's dying and it doesn't work, that gives you more opportunity to make it work. It's less there's less competition in a market who are actively doing it, so it means you can be more successful if you crack it. So that's why I think LinkedIn and email are underrated. So as I mentioned, LinkedIn I think is so underrated, and the reason being that people aren't applying it correctly. A lot of people are treating it like direct sort of mail or direct email and going straight for a sale as soon as someone's accepted their connection request. And once again, this usually isn't going to work. It's a thing of building trust and building rapport. And the reason why LinkedIn specifically is extremely underrated is once you have someone in your network and they've accepted your connection, they're going to see all of your posts. This gives you such a huge chance to nurture them and build and bring them along the buyer journey without you having to put additional effort in for every single person. Every single person in your network is seeing your content. It is such a valuable resource to build your network. And if you can build it on autopilot with tools such as Dripify, which are LinkedIn automations, then you're just going to stand so much far ahead of your competition, because you have the biggest network and you'll be able to nurture them the most with the most content, which will be huge for your brand and for your business. One little secret tip how we've actually boosted our LinkedIn response rates significantly, and also done this for our clients, is by using Loom videos. Now, if you're not using Loom videos and you're outbound, you're missing out. I'm telling you 100%, you are missing out. Loom videos are so underrated. They can literally double your response rates from what we've seen. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a specific Loom video to every single person, because once again, very time consuming. What you can do is build that targeted list, as we've mentioned throughout this episode and throughout this video, and you can create a Loom video that resonates with everyone in that list. So for example, you could say, I was just searching for chief marketing officers in London and came across your profile. We do XYZ. This is how we help chief marketing officers, right? And they're going to receive that as a chief marketing officer and go, oh, wow, they've obviously done, they know I'm a chief marketing officer. They know my pain points. They know what I struggle with. They know how to help me. But you're sending this to all the chief marketing officers. You could do this the same for location, once again, or company size. You can make it targeted and make it personalized, but still send it to everyone in your network or in the pool. And that's why it's really, really crucial to do your research first and then create Loom videos based off those segmented lists. But Loom videos, if you're not doing them, start doing them, because they will do wonders for your conversion rates and actually book you more calls. And that leads on to my last point, which is actually the importance of content and nurturing your leads. So moving into 2024, although this is lead generation, I run a lead generation company, and of course this is a lead generation video podcast. The importance of content is huge. Now, the reason being is it will first of all enhance your outbound campaigns and your outbound strategies, but it will also increase your conversions in your sales calls. Now, building trust is the number one objection to overcome, in my opinion, in cold outbound and outbound campaigns. And content is going to help you do this. We've seen a huge difference between clients with very well designed and well optimized websites and poor websites. Because people, as soon as they receive your cold outbound, they've never seen you before, you are a complete stranger, and they need to do their research into you. They need to figure out who you are, exactly what you do, and can they trust you. Now, the biggest thing in 2024 of dictating whether a prospect is going to trust you is your social presence. How available you are to be viewed online and what you look like when you're viewed online. Do you have a well-structured website and a well-built website? Do you have case studies online? Do you have videos online? What does your LinkedIn profile look like? All of these things your prospect is going to go through and actively search for to see if they can trust you or not. And you want to give them all of the reasons to trust you in the world. So content that I would recommend that will get you the best bang for your buck, because I know a lot of people won't want to create content. It's going to be very difficult for them. The best bang for your buck in terms of content that will help your lead generation campaigns is reviewing past projects and creating case studies. This is going to be so crucial because it establishes you as a thought leader, shows exactly what you do, how you've done it, what your results are, and how you can help other businesses. So if you don't really like get in front of the camera and you don't want to make a lot of content, I would at least make a video of your case studies or how you've helped other businesses. Now, even that fact of doing that is going to increase trust significantly. You can put it into your booking system as well and your booking workflow. So as a client or a potential client books a call, you can also nurture them with content and case studies, because they're going to ask this anyway on the call. They're going to say, how have you done this before? Who have you done this with before? And if you can already answer that before they've asked the question, then it's a great way to sort of overcome objection and handle objection. So I'd definitely make a video on your case studies. Also, talking about things that are happening in the space. Talk about your industry, talk about what you do, talk about your processes. But content overall is going to be so important moving into 2024 to build trust with your prospects, show them that you are, and to show them who you are, to show them that you are what you say you are, right? to show them you are what you say you are. And it's really, really important. It's also going to open new doors with people in the space. So just the fact of me posting on my social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, so on, has already established relationships that I would have not had be I posted content, and clients, of course. So that is going to help. That's going to be how it's going to help your lead generation campaigns. I just thought I'd throw that in there. So that's the way I see things going. Without a social presence, especially in 2024, you're really going to struggle to acquire clients in any B2B business, especially ones that are primarily online. So start investing in that content, start investing in branding, and of course, invest in your outbound lead generation campaigns. So if you're looking to take your lead generation to the next level, acquire more clients, more customers for your business, completely on autopilot, with a completely done for you solution, please get in touch with me and we can show you exactly what we can do for your business. But thank you very much for listening to this video, listening to this podcast. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.